It was late that night. I sat alone in the basement of my parents' house. I was only 12 at the time. Just a small thud right outside my window. Nothing that made me even think anything strange was going on. I lived in northern Washington, high up in the mountains, so the occasional wild animal outside my window was not a foreign concept to me. I didn't even really notice it that first time. About 5 minutes later, I heard it again. This time, just slightly louder. I decided to just try and ignore it and kept staring at the screen. Once again, I heard the thump, but it was yet again louder, more angry in a way. I was fed up. I got up and walked upstairs to scare away the annoying beast. As I walked to the back door, I had this odd feeling that I shouldn't open it up and peek my head out to yell. I couldn't explain it. It was like something in my brain was just freaking out saying, "Don't open that door. Do not open that door." Instead of opening the door, I decided it may be in my best interest to just open the window slightly and yell out. I creaked open the window just a few centimeters and began shouting. Not really anything in particular, more just weird sounds trying to scare it off. I walked down the stairs, satisfied and thinking that I must have scared it off. Walking down the stairs, it hit me. I got this very uneasy feeling. The kind of feeling when you know you're being watched. The kind of feeling that makes your hair stand straight up on the back of your neck. That kind of feeling that makes children hide under their blankets at night from the monsters in the closet. I jolted around, looking behind me in every other direction. It's just in my head. I'm just a little tired, that's all. I thought to myself as I tried to regain my grip on reality. I was losing it. Maybe there wasn't even a thump coming from the window. Maybe it was all just in my imagination. I decided it best just to stay upstairs, watch TV, and just wait for my parents to return home, as I was decently terrified at this point. I walked back up the flight of stairs, grabbed the remote, flipped on the TV, and sat down into the couch. About 30 minutes later, as I was starting to fall asleep, I heard it. Tap, tap, tap on the window directly behind me. This tap was not threatening nor extremely loud. Almost kind of gentle in a way. I slowly turned around to look out the window. There, standing about 3 feet from the window, lit up only by the moonlight, was a creature. It appeared to be a man at first glance, but as I looked closer, I realized it wore no clothing, was completely hairless and almost entirely white. The only colors that showed on its body were the blood veins that ran through its skin and its jet black voided eyes. Its face was elongated and the chin almost came to a point. It looked at me, raised its jagged and pointy hand, and started to wave, cocked his head, and smiled at me. In terror, I stumbled back, falling onto the floor, and in doing so, I lost sight of the creature. As I sat on the ground, not knowing what to do, I saw its hand touch the window, flat-palmed. Seconds later, its face pressed up against the window, its wide unblinking eyes stared down at me, almost curious in a way. Its smile suddenly turned into a frown, and it began slamming its hand into the window, making a horrible scream as it did. Its mouth opened wide, almost unhinging, as it looked at me screaming and beat on the glass. With every thud, it grew angrier, and the crack in the glass grew wider. I reached for my phone and dialed 911. The operator picked up.
911, what is your emergency?
There's this thing pounding on the glass in my living room, staring at me, screaming, and trying to get in. It's almost broken entirely through.
Is it a man?
No, it's completely white, but it stands like a man. It has no hair, and its mouth is just unhinged.
Sir, this is not a place to be making prank calls.
What? This isn't a prank. Just listen to this. I put the phone up to the glass. And when I pulled it back to my ear, all that was said was,
"Units are on their way."
from the operator in an almost terrified voice. As soon as I put down the phone, the creature looked at me, scowled, as if it knew what I had done and that my help was on the way. It turned around and began to walk back into the woods. It vanished from sight, and when the cops arrived, the only true evidence I had that the event took place was the almost shattered window in which the creature had continuously been beating his fist on. The police did their routine stuff, asking what happened, what it looked like, and if I did anything to provoke it. Of course, I said no. Aside from making the few noises I did out of the window, they took my testimony and left, letting my parents know the situation. That was the last time my parents ever left me home alone, and it was the last time I ever saw that creature up close. Although, I swear I see it sometimes, just standing out in the woods a few hundred yards back, almost like it's waiting for me. And the worst part about it, it's always waving.
This concludes our story. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.